Welcome to the Civic Pulse with David Bonior and Brian Brady. It's May 31st, the last day of May, David. How are you feeling? Are you feeling good, bad, in between? Where are you at?
I'm feeling like a happy June, a good June.
We're going to have a good June?
Well, it's one of my favorite months. It's a good weather month. It's the end of the school year. I was born in June, so a lot of my relatives and my family have birthdays in June. I like June, so we could use a little up, right?
I'm feeling good because Oklahoma City Thunder lost yesterday in the NBA.
Yeah. You're with the Knicks, right?
I'm an NBA fan, but I like the
I
story
know you are. I'm
of
really
Nick.
admiring you for that fact because I kind of I slid off the table in the NBA. I just overdid it on sports, so I have to eliminate some things. And the NBA was one of them.
Yeah, so my wife will be happy when the season's over. Hey, let's do a little. We're going to do a dive into corruption stories
Okay.
a little bit later, but let's just start with a quick round the horn around politics and the state of the world. Where do you see? It seems like this Iran war is sort of being negotiated. What do you see? It looks like we might be getting to an end game here. What's your analysis of at least the Iran side of the war? We know in Lebanon,
Yeah.
Israel is just pounding and
Yeah.
Lebanon and committing war crimes, probably.
Yes. And I would say on the Iran situation, the I would think that they'll reach a resolution. Trump wants desperately to get out of this.
Yeah.
It was a terrible decision, um, and so they're in a real bind. And the faster he can extricate himself, he can't keep his attention on anything for a long period of time, except maybe his ballroom, the White House. But he seems to be infatuated with that. But beyond that, I think he's ready to figure out a way to give them a reason to be open to getting this finished. And that means opening the Strait of Hormuz, getting the oil flowing, having oil prices come down, and from a political perspective, making sure that as a result of that, he can ballyhoo the fact that he's bringing prices down, although he drove them up to unconscionably high levels, not only oil and gas, but things that are shipped anywhere. So
the arsonist playing fireman, right?
Yeah. And so I think that'll happen.
Yeah.
But I think the damage has been done from a political standpoint, and we'll see if it manifests itself in November.
The leverage that the U.S. always has with Iran is they can unfreeze assets, and in the end, that does help them get to a deal. But ironically, that's the same deal that Obama did, but at a much cheaper price tag.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that'll probably happen.
Mm-hmm. Economically, he's getting some backwinds. The prices are going up. Employment's not doing great. People are pessimistic. But the stock market, if you have, if you're a third or half of the U.S. that has some money in the stock market, that's been going up for a lot of.
It has.
Yeah.
And for that half of the population or third of the population, it's a positive thing, I guess. If you artificially inflate stocks, that there will be a day of reckoning. But I think he's in a big bind politically, and he's got his party in a bind, and it will come home to roost. I mean, every indication we have on special elections around the country indicates that he's a huge drag on Republicans.
He is, and I think we'll get to how to fight for uh, these independent voters soon. But there's two Senate races a lot of people are talking about this past couple of weeks. You have the Texas race where Trump came in late and endorsed Ken Paxton, and Paxton clobbers Cornyn. And
Yeah, that was an impressive victory for Paxton. So he will not be as easy to take on as some people had originally thought. It'd be a difficult candidate because the baked-in numbers in Texas are such. But he's running against a very popular, articulate, thoughtful guy, and who's had some success at the ballot box. So it'll be a really interesting race.
yeah, Tyler, they immediately, the mudslinging, the Republican mudslinging machine goes into full force, right? Calling Tallarico the first transgender Senate candidate. I mean, it's awful, but it's almost funny how extreme and kooky they get.
Yeah, they go overboard often, but there's a overboard constituency out there.
There's a method to the madness, right?
Yeah.
If you can get the focus on if Tallarico has to spend his time answering ridiculous questions, right? He's
smart enough, and I think he's smart enough to have hired people that will figure that out. You don't want to be on the defensive.
Yeah, he knows.
You want to be on the offensive, and there's enough material on Mr. Paxton to be on the offensive. So I suspect that this might set all-time spending records, and it'll be a very negative campaign, no question about it.
Yeah, I think Tallarico has a really good shot just because of he's just got political skills. He knows
very, very skillful. Yeah.
Yeah. Another person with political skills but a lot of baggage is Graham Plattner in Maine, the Bernie Sanders-styled candidate fighting private equity and the really using the rich versus poor game, right? And he's a military veteran. He's got a lot of great things in his bio. He also just comes across as sort of an earthy, manly man who's a liberal, right? We haven't had too many of those running, but he has had a Nazi-affiliated tattoo that he got, and he's apologized for. He's had some other scandals in his past, and yesterday it came out that he's newly married. He was sexting with some other women early in his marriage, and his wife made an impassioned plea that this was dealt with in counseling. I have an opinion on this, but I want you to go first because
I think actually I did read his wife's comments in the paper this morning about their counseling, and she makes a strong case that she can make in a difficult political situation for her and her family, and she seems like a very good person. So she seems believable in what I read, but it's a lot of baggage to carry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little tired of this having to pick this up again for candidates. We went through this with Fetterman, and I really don't want to do this again, although we'll see what the people of Maine have to say about all this. But I know it's discouraging to, have to be defensive and fighting on this front throughout the rest of this campaign. These campaigns are expensive. He had a decent shot of winning this one and it will be won maybe at the edges because she's a tough candidate. She always has been. The incumbent from Maine was senator. And so I don't know what to say about this other than I would just assume we put more resources into candidates like Vitamin and down in Florida or Ossoff in Georgia. Or there are a number of other places that we have a chance to win with a good year. this could be a good year.
Yeah.
And people not carrying as much baggage and will be more attractive to people who are so-called independents. So we'll see.
Yeah. My counter take is there might be more stuff that comes out about Plattner that is disqualifying. I
Mhm.
don't, some serious stuff. It is some serious stuff, but I don't think it's disqualifying. And I think as a party, we bounced Al Franken for a juvenile photo, right? In the height of the Me Too movement. Al Franken should not have been had to
Well, I agree with that. I think
resign.
that he got, yeah, that was, yeah.
So there's something in our party, like we're all imperfect people. If you and I,
Well, we know that, and we all got our problems, and
yeah,
there aren't too many that can walk on water that I know of. So I think people understand that too. But I think there is an overload factor,
yeah,
and our resources are, precious. We don't want to waste them on something that's not going to happen.
yeah. To me, this latest one, it shows some character flaws, but I don't think it's disqualifying.
Okay.
But maybe that's I can live with more imperfections than most people.
Well, no, it's okay. I can live with them too, but I mean, there's only so much energy people have and resources, and you've got to be cognizant of that. I mean, there are people who are running this guy in Pappas in New Hampshire. I mean, there's some good candidates out there that we have a shot at. Even talking about the person in Iowa. Now, I don't know that campaign very much. Maybe you know a little bit better, but that might have a shot. There are others, and so we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, I think the whole field is open. So I think similarly getting too focused on Texas, like the Dems can win back the Senate without even winning those two races, as you say. And we spent so much time thinking, these races that get a lot of media attention.
Yeah.
One more quick question here. So Trump has a habit, people call it as kind of a disease, a mental illness, of getting on at 1 a.m. and sending a flurry of inflammatory texts. Last night I think it was E.G. Sending some horrible stuff about E.G. and Carol and things like that. Weird behavior.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a method to the madness too, because his people help him do it. What do you think the method to the madness is of midnight texting, if there is any?
I think there are more people who do that than we realize out there. People who don't sleep, and it's a dangerous time for most people. Your brain is like another part of your body. It has times where it's really good. It's often when it's fresh after it gets 7 hours or 8 hours of sleep, and then when you should be messing around with stuff on portals to get your social media message up. So I think it's a very dangerous thing for people to do, but it's the way he communicates, and his people are used to it, and the news media, they won't say it, but they love it because it's easy script. It's right there for them. He's written the script for them, so. Well, it'll continue, but it's unusual. We haven't had a president. We haven't had that many that's lived in this modern digital age, but we haven't had one that focused so much on it as he has.
Trump's genius, and I hate to use those two words together in any time, but I do think he has one genius, which is understanding the reptilian brain of news media and our negative news habits. It's like filling your house with junk food. You're going to eat it if your house is filled with junk food. He just fills the airways,
right? Yeah.
Right? Wanting you
it's the theory of overload, which for him has worked.
his work. Yeah, I think he does understand how to play play the media in that way. Has a news conference really every day from the Oval Office, so he controls a stream of the news flow with it, right? Um, his only problem is he can't. He oftentimes puts his foot in his mouth, so the news.
Foot in his mouth, and then people are tired of it too.
And he falls asleep in meetings as well, which doesn't help.
Speaking of tired, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He's right now. He's in a bad political situation, but you just never can count him out. So you have to. I mean, I've watched this for 16 years in Hungary with Orban.
Mhm.
And finally, Orban sort of kind of wore out. He's an older guy. He's like Trump. And people got tired of him too. So.
And you found a candidate who was able to win the middle, really overwhelmingly put it together. People are studying that race a little more.
Yeah.
One of the things that there's a debate on is we're going to focus a little bit on corruption for the last half of this show.
Sure.
Two big stories have come out in last week. There's so much corruption in this administration that it's hard to know what to focus on. But two big stories in the last week, and then we'll kind of talk about the major streams of Trump corruption. One is this slush fund, right? We don't have to $1.76 billion that the DOJ can just write checks to Trump allies, right, who claim, January 6th attackers, anybody. It's the anti-weaponization fund. It's insane. You probably know more of the legislative history. It's insane to me that the DOJ can just cut this deal, although.
Not sure they can. That's the deal. That's what we're dealing with here. But I don't think they can, but we'll see where we end up with it.
And the second story was around Dell. It came, Trump disclosed he's been trading stocks on companies that he's been negotiating and doing favors for. Dell.
Why don't you recite them for our audience, because it's really pathetic.
Yeah, it's the most egregious. He's made the most money from crypto, right?
Yeah.
But so basically, Michael and Susan Dell pledged $6.25 billion to create 25 million additional Trump accounts for children, investments seeded with $250 each, right? Then the self-dealing, he purchases millions of dollars of stock February 10th. Then a couple of weeks later, he pumps up Dell and says everyone should go out and buy Dell. Then he gives a contract worth $10 billion from the Department of Defense to Dell Federal Systems. And so he's pumped up Dell, made this deal with them. Dell's giving him money, and he's made billions. They estimate the Trump family has made $7.6 billion in the less than 18 months as Trump's president. More than he's ever made in his whole life. So the scandals fall into 5 clusters too here. This is from my Claude AI system. So pretty accurate, but not 100% at times. But the pardon to play cluster, right? Giving pardons for money. We have Isabella Herrera donating $2.5 million and then getting her father out. We have tech tariffs with the tariffs, getting favors for creating tariff loopholes for companies like Apple and Tim Cook. You have the drone defense cluster, his kids investing in drone companies, and then the DOJ giving contracts. Then you have the tech antitrust ballroom cluster, so Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft giving money for the ballroom and then getting help from the Trump regulatory regime. And then you have the car, which was just straight up giving a $400 million luxury jet. Of all these, though, the crypto schemes have yielded the most money of about $3 billion. And people don't really understand crypto, so it's a hard one to follow. But he basically took something called a stable coin, which is an imaginary set of data numbers, and regulated it as a commodity.
It wasn't even minted yet. This is digital paper stuff and turnover quickly. at the right time.
Yes, and those crypto bros help get them elected, and are
Yeah.
pouring tons of money into elections this midterm cycle with their PAC is called Fair Shake, which we should call it Bullshit Shake, right? It's just
Right.
um,
This is like Teapot Dome on the steroids that we can't even imagine.
yes.
I mean, that slush fund is like almost $2 billion, and it was forgiving people who violated the law, defiled the U.S. Capitol, tried to steal the election,
Mhm.
and they were given pardons. And now they can come back and dip into the fund and get some money for restitution. I mean, it's really crazy.
It's really insane. So, two questions for you as a former House leader for many years.
Yeah.
One is campaign wise, you're advising candidates. You endorsed candidate El Said in Michigan for Senate. Um, how, and then we'll talk impeachment. But let's first talk electoral. Would you recommend to El Said that he should talk about corruption and make it a primary talking
Well,
point?
he is. He's talking about it all the time. He's talking about, he's been Medicare for all since there's been Medicare for all.
Yeah.
You know, he's got credentials in medicine and in public health, and he's a very thoughtful, smart, and articulate person. And we need people like that in the Senate to raise their voices because um, this corruption thing is just outrageous, and it'll bring the country down. I mean, we already see the leakage of it
Hmm.
in gambling,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
in sports gambling. No, it's not. We're not talking even professional. We're talking about college now, and pretty soon we'll be talking about high school. I mean, it's just rancid. So how do we deal with this corruption issue? Well, we need people to speak out on it,
Hmm.
and we need at the proper time. You have to strategically be smart about this, going after the people who are behind it. And that, I mean, we should hold Trump and his colleagues that are participating in this accountable at some point. Now, should that be the only thing that the country is focusing on? No, because, you know, what about is corruption has really hurt the average person out there that's struggling to get by and make their bills every month,
Hmm.
pay for their children's education, can't afford in most instances to have daycare for their children. I mean, they're concerned about what the cost of gas, what the cost of groceries are, all of these pieces, and we should make sure that we let them know that we are as well, and we'll do more for you on this because he's in the pocket. Trump and his colleagues in the Congress are in the pocket of the wealthiest people. They're sharing all of this largesse of resources and money amongst themselves and leaving out, the 90%, 95% of the population. Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Which do you think message is more effective? They're not mutually exclusive, obviously. You hear a lot of tax the rich messaging going on now, and the system is rigged to favor the
Mhm.
billionaire mass, right? Um, or you could have the message, or you can do both of the corruption piece, so just the straight stealing of your dollars by Trump and his cronies.
Mhm.
I sometimes wonder if we are not playing the corruption piece that actually appeals to the voters we have to win over.
Oh, it does, and I think if you're asking me to pick,
Yeah.
I'd say the corruption piece. Although part of the fairness piece
Hmm.
is making sure that people who are making that exuberant amount of money over everybody else. I'm not Bernie Sanders. I can't give you those numbers. He could rattle them off right now,
Hmm.
but they're appalling when you think about the disparity and at the very top and everybody else in this country. And but there's a fairness in terms of taxation that should be applied. It shouldn't all go to the top because God knows they don't know what to do with it.
They don't. And we've seen some success in New York. The Mayor Mondani is getting some pretty strong positive reviews lately for balancing his budget, for taxing second homes that are in New York City.
Right.
Uh,
He's doing it in a smart way, and he has values that people admire.
yeah. And he's a brilliant
He
communicator.
believes in the common good.
Yeah.
And his actions on a daily basis are based around that. How is this helping the common good and the people that I have the honor and responsibility to speak for and govern for? And that's a really important piece. He has it. Bernie Sanders has it.
Yeah.
In a little different way, but he has it as well. And there are a bunch of people out there that have it. El Said has it in Michigan. We'll see if that works for them.
So last question of the day. Well, I say that, but you know me, I'll always add one more. But I think let's debate this because you and I disagree.
Okay.
I think we should have an impeachment in 2027. I'm going to make my case, and then you tear it up.
Yeah.
I think we should have an impeachment because the corruption has been so egregious, so over the top, and all norms. In the amount of collaboration to execute the corruption has been, astounding. I think that astounds me more than anything is the people who.
It's reached into the top cabinet positions in our government. They're all in his pocket.
So in Chicago, we've had epidemics and waves of street violence, and there's some success lately in the past, but there's a theory that violence is a little bit like an epidemic, that if you don't respond to a shooting in your neighborhood with some kind of march, some kind of response, it's like a virus getting into your system and your immune system not reacting, right? So there's a danger to not impeaching is my case here, because it allows for impeachment is almost like an immune system response to basically a virus or a cancer that's come into our system. Without that process, we can't heal the system. So that's my case for impeachment. Is like we need accountability. We need to have a healing in this country, and the evidence is so great that an impeachment process would help.
Well, I'm not going to argue against that because I think that's a good argument, and it has validity to it in terms of practicality. But I would say that number one, Trump has been able to beat these impeachment things, and we've heard impeachment so much that I'm not sure the reaction to it would be as strong as you presume it would be, for instance, on crime or some other issues.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that I think it has to be addressed. I mean, maybe it's the courts that really ought to take this on rather than the elective officials in the House of Representatives. Maybe that's the place, but I don't know the answer to this, Brian. But I don't want, as you know, impeachment to be the and only story. And because it is impeachment, it will gravitate to be the only story. That's what everyone will try to focus in on because it's so big. And then you're left with, the groceries and the gas station bills and all of these other things that don't get what the attention they deserve. So
yeah, I think politically you're probably right, but I do think sort of structure that the reckoning. I'm of the opinion that this fascist attempt at taking over our democracy will only be beaten with
yeah,
a amount of force.
and that assumes we we're in a position after November to do it. You
Yeah,
can't impeach if you don't control.
and 28. Yeah, and
Yeah,
win 28, right?
yeah.
So we'll be debating this approach. Hopefully, we'll have a victory in November. We'll dive in this summer. We're going to bring in Alden Matamoros, the Latino Victory Fund, to talk about the elections coming up, and we'll bring in different electoral perspectives to interview in the coming months. But I think that that is I'm wrestling with the long term, like how do we really expunge
Well, that's a good thing to think about. I mean, I may be wrong on this, but I think it's together they're a dynamic political punch. It's it's a left jab and then a right cross.
You're saying corruption and then cost staying on
Right.
common affordability issues, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think that's probably what we need to focus on in 87 in 27, and then but I do think we need a serious reckoning, because this is a tyrannical force within Republican politics that is not going to go away when Trump goes away.
And actually, after the election in November, you're into the presidential, of course, big time, because you're starting to vote a year later. So I think you'll. What was my point I was going to make? Because you are into a presidential, you'll have a host of topics that will bubble up.
Yeah.
This candidate will say this candidate will say that. And, it'll be a more vigorous debate in terms of where the future for the country should lie.
Ro Khanna had an interesting, I knew I'd slip one more question in. Ro Khanna had an interesting shot across the bow for the 28 race. He said anybody who voted for the Laken-Riley Act should be disqualifying for their run for president. And that knocks out the Arizona senators and the Georgia senator, Ossoff, the people that probably are right in Khanna's alley, right? Gallego and Ossoff and Kelly.
Well, they had a little debate up in Mackinac Island in Michigan between the three Democrats who were running for the open seat for the U.S. Senate. Al-Assad was one, and Senator McMorrow, and then Congresswoman also. The name escapes me right now.
Yeah,
she's the APAC candidate. But anyway, the three of them, and they were debating this, and Al-Assad, it really kind of put them all on the spot when he says, if there's anybody here who has not taken a corporate contribution, please raise your hand. So he raises his hand, of course, and nobody else did. So he put himself in a special place. That's kind of what you're suggesting is happened there too.
Shrewd politics. Yeah. We will see. That Michigan primary is in August, right?
August 4th, I think. Yeah.
4th. Okay. I got to get up to Michigan and do my door knocking for El Said. We'll do a show. We'll do a show from Michigan sometime this summer. David, hey, have a great last day of May.
Okay, I will. I got another 12 hours left, I guess.
Thanks to everyone for tuning in. If you stayed all 35 minutes, hit like and subscribe so we can get some more viewers.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, David.
Nice to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.